This week on Jersey Matters, vaccine cards that show you got your COVID-19 shot may be required in some states to go on a plane or go out to a restaurant. But one New Jersey state senator wants to make certain that doesn't happen here. A South Jersey doctor is on a mission to make certain the homeless get vaccinated too. The cicada invasion is coming, and it might bring out some dangerous snakes. And a food truck for dogs. Welcome to Jersey Matters. I'm Larry Mendte. This is what a vaccination card would look like. It's your health pass to go to the movies, to go to a restaurant, or to get on a plane. Governor Murphy says he kind of likes the idea. But Ocean County Republican State Senator Jim Holzapfel has introduced legislation to make certain vaccine cards are not required in New Jersey. Senator, thanks so much for agreeing to give us some of your time today. The topic on the table are the vaccine passports.
Right.
Maybe we should start with your understanding of what the vaccine passports would do and how they'd be used, if they are indeed used in New Jersey.
In my humble opinion, no one in the state of New Jersey should be forced to decide a medical decision, in this case, whether or not they are going to get a shot or their kids are going to get a shot, based on the fact that the government is saying, if you don't, we're going to discriminate against you. We're going to discriminate in that you won't be able to get into certain places. You might not be able to go to work. You might not be able to go to school. You might not be able to go to university, etc. And at this point in history, in 2021, I don't think we know enough about COVID and its consequences that government should be in a position of telling people, you will get an inoculation or else these terrible consequences will occur. And that's the purpose of the bill.
And the vaccine passport, I'm sure a lot of people know about it already, but it is going to be a passport that's going to be on your phone, or it's going to be a card or a piece of paper that allows you to get into certain things. It's proof that you were that you got the vaccine. And I guess my question to you is, first, you mentioned unemployment. You mentioned employment first is one of the things that you mentioned. And as I understand it from most employment attorneys, that an employer can insist that their employees get vaccinated because the federal government says that they have to provide a healthy and safe workplace. That is not your understanding?
No, that's correct. So, I do labor work. I do labor work myself. That's correct. Right. The status of the law today, at least if someone asked me my opinion and wanted to pay me for it, I would say, as far as the government in particular, that you can mandate that there be an inoculation. But if you'll notice, go around the state, and I'll stand corrected, most places are not doing that because they don't want to put themselves in a position of telling people that you must get something done to you medically that you don't feel comfortable in having done. And because of that, if you don't do it, you're not going to be able to work. Now, we've seen, I think, reported anyway, let's take Rutgers. Rutgers says, all the kids, you want to come back to school? You have to be inoculated. Does the staff have to be inoculated? No. Do the professors have to be inoculated? No. So why? Why is there a separation between the kids and the professors? Now, is that a union issue? There's a lot of things, I'm sure, that are working their way around here. But at the end of the day, to me, I don't think government should be in a position to tell people at this juncture with COVID, with the vaccinations, certainly with Johnson & Johnson's issue that just happened, that you must take your kids and get them inoculated, or you must take your other family members and get them inoculated for you to be able to function in this state. You want to get into a restaurant, you want to get in a sporting event, you want to go to work. The answer, in my humble opinion, is you're getting the shot because you're making the decision that it's the right thing for you to do. I've gotten both shots. I'm 77 years old. It was an easy decision. I got 6 grandchildren. Have I told my son or daughter that their kids must go get the shot, or it's, what? No, it's their decision because the consequences are going to be theirs. They're not going to be my consequences. If something goes wrong with the vaccination down the road, who are they going to look to blame? And I honestly believe if we start out with the concept that the inoculation makes you're protected, then what we're really saying, government is saying, is to protect other people who won't get the shot or don't want to get the shot or can't get the shot. Everyone else has to get the shot. Because if you believe in the shot, then you're really saying, I'm okay. I mean, and I do when I function, because I have both shots. If I go into an office situation, the other day I was at a meeting, half of the people, most of them had masks. And I said, folks, if you feel comfortable taking your mask off, I certainly don't. I'm not concerned because I have had the shots. So that's a decision that I've made for my lifestyle. But I just don't think that government should be able to step in and say at this juncture in the history of what's been going on that you must have the shot for you to be able to do any life functions from work to play to whatever.
Aren't there some liability issues though, if you run an airline or if you have concerts or you run a movie theater and someone contracts COVID on your airplane or at one of your concerts and you don't have this policy?
I don't know that. I don't look, as well there's always liability issues. There's lawyers, there's lawsuits. But the government, instead of this type of issue, the government can very easily, as they have in the past with other types of medical inoculation, give immunity. Pass it, say to the lawyers, you're not going to make money off personal injury lawsuits because we're going to say that with the appropriate use of the drug, appropriately administered, appropriately maintained and kept cold or whatever it might be, depending on the particular type of inoculation, that there is no liability on the part of someone by permitting you either to come in or not come in, whether you do or don't have a shot. I don't think that that's a heavy lift, certainly. And if you look around today, I think people do things defensively. My own law office, I have signs, I have barriers, I have hand dispensers, masks, etc. Just first of all, to the staff feel better. But secondly, to try and do the best you can do with what you know. I don't feel that I'm going to get sued. It may happen because why? I didn't have enough hand dispensers or whatever. I don't know. I have the things on the rugs and etc. So I don't think liability is really much of an issue. I think what it really comes down to is, are we a society that's going to say to people, we're making decisions, medical decisions for you and your family that should be made by the individual. And the reason we're doing it is why? If I follow what's going on, there's, New Jersey, I guess half of the people have had at least one shot, or the numbers, or whatever. So let's continue to do that. Let's try and get as many people who want to get the shot. But you're going to have as everybody knew way back when, there was going to be, pick a number, 20, 25%, 30% going to say, I don't want it. It's not because of it. I just don't want, I don't feel good about it. I don't want to run the risk. I'll take my chances of getting COVID. I'm young. If I get it, so what? I don't want the shot. We're going to take those people and say, okay, well, then you might as well stay home because you're not going to be able to do anything because you don't have a passport. And I don't think we want to go there. I mean, maybe we do, but not with me voting for it. And at least I put a bill out there that if I think saner minds say, let's continue to do what we're doing. I mean, look at New Jersey. We've done the most. I mean, it's so stringent. Lockdown across the board. Our numbers are no better than any place. As a matter of fact, they're worse in some situations. I just saw something the other day, we're number 3 or 4 worst, and et cetera, et cetera. And meanwhile, in Florida, Texas, other places. The worst mortality
rate in the country. The worst mortality rate in the country is in New York.
So has it been working? I mean, how's this working out? To use the quote.
Let me give you one more argument, the greater good argument, that we would never reach herd immunity unless people are required to get the vaccine. So would never, ever beat COVID-19 unless we start forcing people to get the vaccine. And certainly a vaccine passport would be one way. And by the way, the Supreme Court did weigh in on this about 85 years ago with smallpox and said states do, in a health emergency, can require people to get the vaccine.
Yeah. Well, first of all, prove that to me at this point. Right now, as far as I'm told, people still want the vaccination. They can't get it. They still want to get the shot, and they're waiting in lines, and the computers aren't working right, and on and on we go. Let's get to a point where when I drive by down here in Tom River North, I don't see hundreds of cars. People want the shot. Let's get to a point where they call up and say, you know what, we've got to 75%. And then maybe we can get ingenious and say things like an employer can say, hey, you know what, if you get the shot, you get $1,000 pay bonus. Hey, if you get the shot, if something happens to you, COVID related, we're not going to take your sick days. We're not going to take your personal days to burn those while you're out. We're going to let you keep those days, and you're going to be out on a special because you have gotten a shot. Have we done anything like that? I don't think so. So let's try some other things before we say to somebody, you've got to stay up at night and lose sleep thinking whether or not you're going to make your 10-year-old go down and get a shot that, for all you know, could do something. I mean, what's the rush? Let's get rid of all the people who want it, find out what the numbers are, and then start to argue about what can we do to entice the other people to do it. Let's go through that and then find out what the numbers are, and then say, you know what, there's 10% and herd immunity is 94. Maybe we'll say, oh, let's take our chances. But I certainly hope the governor isn't, this would be one more thing where he's going to make the decision on his own, and it's going to impact people. And a lot of people are frightened, believe it or not. I mean, you got to talk to these people. They come in the office. You know, I know a lot of times politicians will say, well, I met a constituent. It's the truth. And they come in and they're very, very upset that they're going to be forced to take their kid and get a shot. More so than themselves.
Let's do some procedural stuff. So let's just say that this does pass and it goes to the governor's desk. So
right.
You have no idea at this point what he would do, only that he hasn't discounted using a vaccine passport in the state.
Correct.
So, and what do you think are the chances of it getting to his desk?
Well, as a Republican in New Jersey, and you know the system. If Sweeney would post it, or at least get it through committee, let's hear about what we think, what people think. I guarantee you, there'll be a hell of a lot more people that'll show up who don't want this to happen than will show up and say, we think it's a good idea. Just going by emails that you get and what's going on. They just did a survey in my town, Humber, local patch did it. 80% of the people said no. They just, on it.
That's a lot. Have you heard from Senator Sweeney? Do you know on this?
No. I don't. I love the senator. But I don't routinely hear from him about anything.
He's an important person in all of this.
Oh, he is, and he's a good guy, and he does a good job. And to be honest with you, he's one person that I have historically have said, looks at things, I think, more, objectively. There's not a right and wrong answer. This isn't a Republican, a Democrat thing. I will, say that a lot of the states I think there's 6 or 7 already have passed legislation preventing passports. I think all of them are, quote, red states.
Right.
But I mean, that I think goes with territory. But at the end of the day, I think something that makes sense should fly. But that's, it's got to be, I guess, something where if I were in his position, not that I give him advice, I wouldn't be looking to push any bills one way or the other, either requiring it or not. I think the governor has historically shown that he doesn't think the legislature matters. He'll make it an executive order. Then we'll go from there. But I think it's a true mistake. And the consequences aren't going to be to me. I have my shots. So the consequences are going to be all these poor people who are going to be racking their minds as to whether they should or they shouldn't. And God forbid if it goes wrong, what the consequences will be to that. But,
sir, I appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Hey, it's a pleasure.
Republican State Senator Jim Holzapfel from New Jersey's 10th Legislative District. Still to come on Jersey Matters, making oil and gas more environmentally friendly in New Jersey. That's next.